Recently, I had a past life regression, and you won't believe what happened. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to the Wholeness Shift. My name is Veronica, and if this is your first time here, welcome. It's nice to meet you. I teach people about easy, practical spirituality and the law of attraction, intentional living, and all of those little things that you can do to make your life awesome. If these are things that interest you, hit the subscribe button below because I wouldn't want you to miss out on anything good. Today I'm sharing something very intimate and vulnerable that happened in my life recently. My guides have worked with me ever since I started to first awaken on issues regarding various past lives of mine. I've had dreams and I've had visions and I've had other various synchronicities and events happen that have helped resolve some issues and help me get to know myself better and give me a better perspective on myself and this life and the people in it. I have another video where I talked about how they actually convinced me that reincarnation was actually real, because in the beginning I didn't even believe in reincarnation. So if you're interested in that, I will link to that video below. Through this journey, they've also mentioned more than once to me that they think it would be beneficial if I went and got a past life regression. And if you aren't sure what that is where you kind of undergo a hypnosis and are put into like a trance-like state. It's completely safe. You still have complete control of yourself. Nobody has like mind control of you and taking over your mind. I know I've actually had people talk to me about how they're leery about that, but it's like a deep meditation. They just lead you on a deep meditation, but it's beneficial to have someone there guiding you because that way they can help lead you to different events. They can help ask questions that you might not think about. And if you experience any kind of really heavy or deep emotion, they can kind of help pull you out of it. So I had known that I was supposed to have one, but I tend to be kind of skeptical when it comes to this stuff as far as finding someone to help me with it, because just as there are many very legit psychics, mediums, intuitives, etc. out there, there are a lot of scammers, and I'm not interested in wasting my time or having somebody take advantage of me in such a vulnerable situation. So I've procrastinated on finding someone. I had been watching YouTube one day, and there was a video on my recommended videos that I had never heard of this person before, and she's not somebody that I normally watch, but it was on her past life regression. And so curiously, I clicked on it, and she talked about how she had had a regression done with this gentleman who lives in Greece. They did it over Zoom, and what a great experience she had. And she talked through the whole thing, and she really had what seemed like a legit experience. And so I immediately went to that guy's Instagram, found him and sent him a message, and we hooked up through his website and whatnot and scheduled to have my regression done. Now, let me just say that I was actually very torn about whether or not to share this on here. Originally, I didn't think I was going to. I wanted to film it for my own benefit and so that I could go watch it and see what happened. But I didn't think I would share it on here because A, it's so personal, and B, people are so judgy. And I have no interest in that. C, once I saw who I was in this regression, I was very hesitant, because anytime you share that you believe you were some kind of historical figure or someone famous in a past life, people tend to get extra skeptical, and they look at you like, okay, girl, sure you were. Gotcha. And this experience was so powerful and life-changing and healing. I have no doubt that I was this person and that this is what I experienced, and I'm just not interested in anybody else's skepticism. However, because it was such a powerful, almost overwhelmingly powerful experience, and the healing has been so profound, I felt like I had an obligation to share it. I felt like it was my duty to help teach and to help share and to help let everyone know that this kind of healing is possible or that this thing exists, and to demonstrate on myself how it works. So if you're watching it and you're doubtful or you have skepticism or are feeling judgy, put the gavel down, Judge Judy. I don't need to hear it. Just keep it to yourself. I had teased about this a bit over on Instagram several weeks ago, saying that it was coming, and then it never did. And I keep getting messages like, where is this video? We're still waiting on this video. What happened to the video? Well, first of all, there was just so much to edit. I mean, this is going to be a long one, and that's okay because it's exactly what it needs to be, but that's because there's a lot in it. And the other reason it took so long is because what makes up part of the enormous amount of stuff in this video is that stuff just kept happening. It didn't end with the regression when he pulled me out of it. It did not stop there. He even warns you that, this can keep progressing over time. You're going to get more things coming. And it did. And that night, just to give you a little foreshadowing of what's to come, I had the regression in the morning. And then that night, I had my first channeling happen. I actually channeled her. She came through, and like the regression gave me the human perspective and all of the heavy emotions and drama that came with it. And then the channeling that came in the evening gave me the healing and the stepped out of ego, heavenly, healed perspective that helped bring me healing as well. And then there's a third thing that happened, a synchronicity, that I actually found a dream that I had had from a whole year ago, last August. You'll see, stick around to the end and you'll see that. If you just want to skip to specific parts of this, I will try to remember to leave the timestamps in the description box. So because he lives in Greece and there's a major time difference, I want to say it's like 11 or 12 hours, I'm not sure, 11 hours maybe. Anyways, I had scheduled an appointment with him before work in the morning, so I got up and met with him in the wee hours. He asked that I not show his actual process of taking me into the hypnosis and into the trance, for various reasons, and I respect that. But he did give me permission to share what actually happened after I was under, especially because it was so profound. He walked me through this kind of guided meditation that lasted at least a half an hour. It was pretty long, and he did a really good job of making sure that I was relaxed and really under. And let me just admit up front that even though I am a full believer in all of this stuff, however, I'm still human, and the whole time I had these thoughts second guessing myself, just like, what if this doesn't work for me? What if I don't see anything? What if I do it wrong? How do I know if it's working or if I'm just making this up? Yeah, I totally had all of those thoughts. But holy cow, I had nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about. It was very obvious that it was not my thoughts, and it was very obvious that this was an experience I was having. If you are a regular watcher of my videos or a subscriber, first of all, thank you. But you know that my guides have kind of been taking me on this journey of working on my root chakra for the last year or so, a little more than a year. Anyways, dealing with all of these old issues of like trust and just root chakra stuff. You'll see that this is dealing with all the issues there. So as George led me down this path of hypnosis and relaxation, he gently, eventually guided me back to a point in my earliest childhood memories. And I had known from watching Jordan's video that he was going to ask about my earliest childhood memory. And so actually for a few days before this, I was sitting there thinking, I wonder what my earliest memory is. And I was trying to think, and I'm like, it has to be that one with my grandma. Yeah. I mean, I was convinced that it was this one with my grandma. And so as he got me to that point, I'm sitting there fully believing that that is what I'm going to be thinking about. And it's not like I was trying to control it. I just thought that once he asked about my earliest childhood memory, that's what my brain was going to produce. Because anytime I asked about my earliest childhood memory, that's what my brain produced. However, that is not what my brain produced. Once we got back there, and he, counted down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. All of a sudden, I don't want to get weepy about this, but it's emotional. First of all, let me preface this by saying that I was estranged from my dad for most of my life. My dad was not Father of the Year. Let's just say that. He was a tough guy. He was a tough guy. I mean, think motorcycle club, drug dealing, pool hall hustling. Not always a nice guy, pretty rough around the edges. And once I got old enough to say, I don't want to be treated like this, because he wasn't abusive to me, but he could be emotionally or verbally tough on me and abusive to me. And I just didn't want anything to do with it anymore. And so, and for most of my life, he was pretty absent. So I have spent most of my life thinking that my dad didn't really love me or wondering if he loved me. Okay. So once George counted down and I snapped into my earliest childhood memory, it was not one with my grandma like I had thought. I was with my dad, and it was in the 70s. I must have been 3, maybe 4. And he was taking me on a ride around the block on his motorcycle. And it's a memory that, I mean, now having it brought back to me, I fully remember it, but I had not thought about that probably since it happened. I had forgotten all about it. And I was too tiny to sit on the back of the bike behind him, so he had me up front between his legs, sitting on the gas tank of the motorcycle. I know, it was the 70s. What can I say? Safety first. But I was sitting in front of him so he could hold me, and I was straddling the gas tank, and I had on a big clunky helmet, and he was taking me on a ride around the block. And I could feel his pride. Like, he wanted to show the world, hey, look at my little girl. And I could feel his love for me and that he was wanting to protect me. And so it was just a short little sweet thing, but I thought it was interesting that that's where they took me, because they're trying to resolve all of those daddy issues, if you will, or the trust issues and the abandonment issues and things like that. But it was a nice memory. Then he began to lead me back even further to when I was in utero, when I was still in my mama's tummy. And he'd ask questions like, what are you feeling? Are you hearing anything from outside the womb? What are you experiencing? And I didn't hear anything, and I don't really have memories per se, but I remember feeling very content and peaceful and safe and loved. And I remember it was a very distinct feeling, like I was backstage at a play. I was in the play. I knew my lines. I was very confident that I would do a good job and that this would be fine. But I was waiting for my time to take my place on the stage. I was waiting to go on stage. And I knew that there were going to be some tough times. I knew that there were going to be rough parts, but that it was all exactly as it should be, and that this is exactly what I signed up for. I knew what to expect, and that it was worth it. It's almost like what I can imagine an athlete would feel like before the beginning of a triathlon or something, when they know that it's going to be tough, it's going to kick their butt in places, and that they're going to be tired, and that it's not all going to be roses and champagne, but they're ready, and let's go. That's what it felt like. And then he led me to my birth, and I can remember feeling just all the frenetic energy in the room, the chaotic energy, the hustle and bustle of the delivery room. And I could feel my mom's fatigue and her love and the joy and the excitement of me being there. And then I was taken to a very specific photograph. It was just shown really big in my mind. And this photograph, I actually had to go find it and dig it out because I had forgotten all about it. It's not one of my favorite pictures because I don't look the cutest as a baby in it. And I mean, duh, it's all about me. But anyways, it's not one of my favorite photographs. And so it's always just kind of tucked away in my baby book. But I was shown this picture larger than life in my head and in my mind's eye. And it showed my mom and my dad and me right after coming home from the hospital, and my dad was glowing with pride and joy and love for me. So again, they were leading me to my dad and showing me he loved you. And in that moment, I could feel him. I could feel, because he died several years ago, 2005. I could feel him telling me that he loved me and that he did the best he could, that he was broken, and that he loved me the best he knew how. At this point in the process, George brings you back to the beginning, to where you started. It's a garden that you visualize, and you sit there and get recentered and rebalanced before you begin this journey back to your past life. And despite what I had just experienced with these memories coming out of nowhere that I hadn't put there, they just came. Despite that experience I just had, I still had this doubtful, what if this doesn't work? What if I don't see anything? You guys help me to see something. Help this to work. How do I know if I'm doing it right? I still had all of that. And so as he began to count down, I was nervous. And I just tried to stay in the moment, just tried to relax, tried to allow it to happen. And oh man, it happened. He keeps counting down, and I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper. And he's like 10, 9, 8. And he's going deeper and deeper, and he's guiding me down this.
4. You're almost there. The fog is starting to clear now. 3. It's clearing more and more, revealing the details of your past life. 2. 1. And the fog has cleared completely.
And then it hits me like a shot. I immediately got this image, larger than life, in my entire mind's eye of this picture you're seeing, except from my perspective, it's almost like I was sitting more on the floor because I was kind of looking up at this swan on this bed. And like the swan took up nearly my entire visual field, and behind it was just red. I was looking at a red background with the big swan in front of my eyes. And at the time, I didn't know that this person that came through, that her symbol in her lifetime, on her stationery and whatnot, her symbol was a swan. So I think it's interesting that that's the first thing she showed me.
Look down on your feet and tell me what you can see.
I see little slippers.
Okay, what color are they?
They're like a golden silk or satin.
Mm-hmm. And how do your feet look like?
Like a woman's feet.
Mm-hmm.
A long flowy gown.
Mm-hmm. How old is the woman? How old are you?
Late 20s, early 30s.
Mm-hmm. Describe your body to me as well. You're wearing a long, flowy gown. What else?
It's empire waisted. I'm slender. Bare arms, like short sleeves. The gown is like a golden, creamy golden color, but it has like a overlayer of clear, like a sheer chiffon or something over the top.
And how about your face?
Brown hair, brown eyes. I'm not unattractive, but I don't find myself beautiful. I'm embarrassed of my smile because my teeth aren't the best. My hair is up.
Oh. Okay. And where are you? What country are you in?
I'm currently in France.
And what is the year? What is the date?
It feels like the late 1700s, maybe.
Do you get the name of the town or city you're in?
Early 1800s.
Okay.
I'm near Paris.
And where are you right now?
I'm at home. It's my favorite place to be.
Why?
Because I'm safe here.
From whom or from what?
At this moment, you can see me have a visceral reaction to the sudden and massive download of images, emotions, and information that I received. Everything. The world
like
is
what?
not safe.
What is unsafe? If you're feeling negative emotions, breathe in and breathe out and trust that those negative emotions cannot affect you in any way. The first thing I saw was a large mechanical drawing of a guillotine. It looked almost like this, but it was, it was nicer. I guess when spirit draws something, it is more perfect. But it looked almost just like this, except it was a little cleaner and nicer. And simultaneously, as I was seeing this, I was also getting emotions. I was getting just knowledge. I was getting this download of information. Like I knew that my husband, but it was my first husband, I knew my husband had been killed in that situation by the guillotine. And I wasn't feeling really much grief over him. I mean, I don't think it was much love lost there. However, I was terrified because I could feel that I was imprisoned as well and that they were coming for me, like I was next. I got a visual of like cobblestone streets, blood just running over the streets. Like so many people had been killed during this situation that like blood was just running in the streets. And I got information about my children. I mean, this was all just like rapid fire. It was just here. I just had it. And so guillotine, my husband died, but he was my first husband. I was in prison. They were coming for me next. Something happened and I was suddenly out of prison. I was saved. My children, I had pictures of the cobblestone streets. Yeah, it was just all coming. And you could see me in this moment just react. Everything. The world like
is
what?
not safe.
What is unsafe? If you're feeling negative emotions, breathe in and breathe out and trust that those negative emotions cannot affect you in any way. You're just experiencing in the same way as if you're watching a movie. What's going on that's causing you to feel all these emotions?
I saw a guillotine. I think my husband, my first husband. I think he was killed in the guillotine and they wanted to kill me too.
Why?
Revolution.
What have you done to deserve that?
Anyone associated with nobility is being slaughtered. The blood runs in the streets.
Where is your second husband right now?
I heard her say he's conquering the world as he does. Kind of snidely.
How do you feel about him?
I have mixed emotions.
Why?
I feel layers of emotions from her. Like at first he kind of irritated her. He was a lot to take. She didn't know what to make of him and she was leery. But then he won her over. And so now she loves him very much, but doesn't totally trust him.
And what's your name?
Rose, but he calls me Josephine.
Do you have any children? What did you see right now that caused you to feel sadness?
He called me Josephine and he betrayed me. He made me feel he loved me, but he left me.
Your second husband did?
Yes.
Why? How did he betray you?
I couldn't give him an heir, so he left me. He made a fool of me. He broke my heart. For him, it's all fame, fortune, heirs, riches.
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
I'm devastated.
Breathe in and out, and with the inhale, gather up all this devastation, all this sadness, and then exhale it out with your exhale. So you don't have any children then?
Yes, I do.
Okay. From?
My first
which husband? The first husband, okay. And how's your relationship with your children?
Good.
How many do you have?
I want to say 2. A girl and a boy.
What are their genders and names?
A girl and a boy. As I was facing her, I kept getting the name Hortense. I think that's Hortense.
I will now count from 1 to 5, and when I reach number 5, you will go to a significant moment in time in that lifetime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're now in a different significant moment in that lifetime. What's going on and why is it significant?
He's yelling. He's very mad.
Who is?
My husband.
Mm-hmm. How old are you there?
30s. He's very angry.
Why is he angry?
I was unfaithful. I cheated on him when he was away, and he was gone for so long. And I know he was unfaithful to me. Why is he so upset? I mean, it meant nothing. He's very upset.
And how are you reacting to that?
I'm on my knees. I'm begging for forgiveness. Please don't leave me. Please don't put me out. Please don't leave.
And why is this a very significant moment in that lifetime? What's so significant about it? How did this situation unfold?
This has perhaps weakened his resolve to be faithful to me, and it no longer bothered him as much to betray me and to leave me.
And how do you feel about that?
I take responsibility for it. It makes me sad. We lived in a state of not trusting each other, and what was a great love was damaged.
What about your dreams? What do you want to achieve or do? Are you happy there?
I'm happy, but it's like a fishbowl. Everybody's looking.
Do you get to follow what you feel your purpose is?
I'm trying to ask what was my purpose.
I'm
just hearing to love and be loved.
And did you fulfill that at this point?
Yes, technically, but my actions interrupted. I didn't act fully with love.
Okay. In a moment, I will count again from 1 to 5. And when I reach number 5, you will experience your moment of death in that lifetime. You won't be able to feel any negative emotions or experience any pain. You'll just observe that as if you're watching a movie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just died. How did it happen?
Respiratory. Pneumonia, maybe?
Okay, and where are you?
In my bed.
Is there someone with you?
Servants.
And how old are you?
I feel like an old lady, but I'm not that old. Late 40s, early 50s.
And do you feel you fulfilled your purpose of loving and being loved by this point?
No.
Why?
It was just heartbreak. Too much heartbreak.
What do you think are the primary emotions that defined this lifetime?
Highs and lows, pride, ego, love, sadness, lust.
What happened to your husband? Where is your husband?
Exiled. He had the son he wanted with someone else.
How did you feel about that?
Devastated, humiliated, heartbroken. I remember him telling me he still loved me. But he was not with me, and so I felt so betrayed. But that was because of his ego.
Because he wanted to have an heir.
He felt external appreciation and accolades were so important. Appearances, gold, riches, conquering. He didn't realize that all that matters is love. And he threw love away for the accolades. What has that got in him? I'm dying alone, he dies alone, and we're both heartbroken.
Holy cow. I can't believe I worried for even 1 second that it wouldn't work. So it was very clear to me who I had just experienced and what I had just seen. And it was clear to me that I had been Josephine Bonaparte in another lifetime, the wife of Napoleon. But even though I had just experienced all of these things, I still wanted to go to Google and try to verify some stuff and look some stuff up because, question everything, right? Isn't that one of the first things we're taught by Spirit? Question everything. So when I went over to Google, lo and behold, everything that I had experienced was verified. Her daughter's name was Hortense. She did have a first husband that was killed in the Reign of Terror by the guillotine, and she had been imprisoned and was going to be next. And she was saved by the bell because Robespierre was killed just a few days before she was ready to be killed, I believe, like 2 or 3 days, and she was released miraculously. And then I saw that her name was Rose. Josephine was also one of her names, but it was not her name, her main name. But when Napoleon came, and I could feel in this regression, I felt this. I felt that she was unsure of what to make of him. He came on like a tsunami, is what I felt like. He was larger than life, and he turned his affections on her, and it was just like, bam, like he was coming for her. And she didn't quite trust him. She was older than he was younger, and she didn't quite know what to make of him. And then I could feel that he became the love of her life, and she was all about it. I also saw that she had been unfaithful to him, and he had put her out. Like all her belongings were on the porch, just as I had experienced. And it wasn't so much that she had been unfaithful, because he'd been unfaithful many a time. It was that everyone knew about it, that he found out about it through other sources. I think it was even in the newspaper. And he found out about it on the battlefield, like people telling him about it, like, hey, your woman's in the paper sleeping with some other dude. And that's what upset him. It was his ego being insulted, I think. So I carried that grief with me all day long, that heaviness and that sadness, the weight of that lifetime. I carried it with me all day. No matter what I did, I could not shake it. No matter how many times I meditated, how much I asked for help, like I was in the midst of this big pool of grief and heaviness and heartbreak and rejection and abandonment and all the feels. I was in the middle of her feelings all day. And then something else happened. Let's get into it. Later that evening, I was sitting in the living room with Fred. We were watching some TV after dinner, and this energy just descended on me. It was the most beautiful, loving, pure, clear energy I think I've ever felt. It was just lovely and overwhelmingly beautiful. So much so that, it just almost overtook me. And I could feel that it was wanting to channel through me. And it was just a bad time. I know I've talked before about how I think my guides have been working me up to channeling for a few years now. Like, they've been practicing with me and different things like that, but I hadn't actually channeled anything yet, aside from some automatic writing that I've posted over on the blog. But anyways, this energy was almost just pervasive. Like, it was not taking no for an answer. And I had to get kind of direct with it, because I'm just like, look, like, I'm in the middle of watching Shameless. I'm not going to be channeling some benevolent, beautiful light being at the same time I'm watching Frank Gallagher with Fred. This is a bad time. Please come back in about 40 minutes. And so it stopped trying to force itself on me. Force itself is the wrong word. It was just being adamant that, look, we have a message for you. You need to pay attention. It stuck around. It lingered. It was hard to concentrate. It was hard to watch that show. I was overwhelmed with the bliss, love, beauty of it all. And like, Fred would ask me a question and I even had trouble responding because it changed my voice. Like, it was almost impossible for me to talk. I got very soft spoken and very, it felt like pure love coming out, but it was at such this soft, gentle volume, and it was strange. So anyways, the show wrapped up. Fred left and went upstairs to do his thing, and I just turned on my camera. Like, this has happened before, in the sense that, like, as my guides have been preparing me to channel, like, I feel like something's wanting to come through. So I just sit down and meditate and just turn my camera on, turn my phone on, and nothing has ever happened before. But anyways, this was just being so insistent that I'm like, okay, I'm here, I'm ready. What do you need? And so I turned on my phone and set it there, and I just closed my eyes to meditate, not expecting much of anything, or I may have made a better recording than I did. But it was Josephine, and she came to give me a message and to help me heal. And it was lovely. And the whole time she was talking to me, it wasn't trance channeling in the sense that she took over my body and spoke through me, but she definitely overcame me, and I could very, very clearly hear her voice in my head. And it was almost hard to talk. Like, some of the words I say come out kind of funky sounding because I'm talking in my American accent, but in my mind, I'm hearing her so clearly. She had this beautiful, deep, silky, very, very beautiful voice. Deep, silky, sensual French accent. It was just lovely. And what's funny is I've heard myself have that voice many times in my dreams. So now I know, when I have that voice, who I am. But anyway, so I was hearing that voice, and it would affect the way I would pronounce some of the words. It was a very interesting experience. So here is the channeling, and because it was so impromptu, the sound wasn't that great. So I've added slides to help you see what was being said. And at one point, the recording actually cut off, and I'm not sure why. But anyways, it did cut off, but I had a very clear memory of what was said. And so I hurried up and dictated it down, and I voiced that part over. But anyways, here's the channeling.
Bonjour. When Napoleon left me, I was bereft. I'd never known such depths of despair. It's like my very soul had been ripped out of me. felt. That's it. I will never trust another man. Men who say sweet words, whose actions are fickle. The truth of the matter is, men are just the decor. They are a decoration. They are the decor in the house, in the home. They are not the home. They merely add a little sparkle, but they are not your life. You build the home. You fill it with love. And if you want, you can add a little sparkle. But never mistake the sparkle for the home. Napoleon loved me. He did. He was just a damn fool. He was more concerned with external, the accolades, the success, the triumphs. For him to be labeled as a failure in such a thing that should be as simple as bearing an heir, it's unacceptable to him. Even if it meant destroying the love of a lifetime. He was willing to do that just to save face with his public. Do not carry these wounds with you. They are not worth it, and they're too heavy. Release. For all is well. My life is yours to have, as it is your life too. Know to carry the suffering with you is only illusion. For all that really matters is love. To love and be loved. Love is the power that creates worlds. Love is the power that creates universes. Embrace that. Fill your heart with that. Let that be the legacy that travels lifetimes. Forgive. Forgive a fool who didn't know what he had. Forgive a fool so caught up in vanity. For that fool is also you. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. We are all trying to do the best that we can. You have lived many lifetimes. We have lived many lifetimes. Extraordinary lifetimes. There will always be someone that hurts you. There will always be someone you hurt. This is not the thing you should hold on to. This is just the way it is. This is the way it's supposed to be, this human existence. It's like a merry-go-round, a carousel for children. Round and round they go. They love, they hurt, they lust, they crave, they hurt, they betray, they abandon, they beg for mercy, take me back, they love, They make love. They despise. They betray. Round and round. Round they go. But you see that none of it truly matters. Because at the end of the day, life is but a dream. La 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 la. Be enchanted with life. Enchantment. There is always something or someone to be enchanted with.
I know you've felt it as it's one of your favorite feelings, and that's good. Find the wonder in every moment. Pay attention to that. But the truth is that while you're looking externally for enchantment, others are looking at you, and you are the object of their enchantment. This is because you're each whole as you are. There truly is no need to look outside of yourselves. Think of the roses. Roses are most enchanting. They are beautiful and they lend the most beautiful fragrance to the air, but they don't look for external validation. Roses simply are. They simply exist. And this is how it should be. It's okay to admire and to be enchanted, but don't romanticize it so much that it becomes your driving force. Don't make the mistake of looking externally. Go within and focus on love, for this is what truly matters. Bonne nuit. So pretty cool, huh? So as I said earlier in this video, the regression gave me the human perspective and the emotions and the feelings and helped me to understand exactly why I have had these trust issues and these abandonment issues and these just the issues that I've had, why I felt so guarded and protected, and I had to, it's almost like I had to feel the depths of the pain she was in to understand why it carried over lifetimes and is still lingering. And then with the channeling, she came in with a fresh perspective of, you don't have to hold on to that anymore. It's actually just an illusion. Everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. The human play has played out exactly as it's supposed to, and your human psyche does not have to hold on to that. It's too heavy. Let it go. And because you've also hurt people. People hurt you and you hurt people. It's just what humans do. So forgive and release. And combined with her energy that I was feeling, it was like this miraculous release and healing and clearing. And I felt my root chakra just blow open, and it triggered this Kundalini energy. I mean, I've had a Kundalini awakening before. I experience it often, but this triggered Kundalini massively for a few weeks. It went on day and night for a few weeks. I was just like blissed out and everything was healing, and it was pretty amazing. I was high flying for a few weeks after that. So then the other day, something else happened. I was sitting right here at my desk, and I have been wanting to start journaling my dreams again. You know that I'm an avid believer in journaling your dreams because that's one of the number one ways that your guides communicate with you. And if you don't write them down, they disappear quick. And so I've been wanting to get back into writing my dreams down every day, and I keep forgetting. So my dream journal is right here. So I had pulled it out one day, and opened to see just how long it had been since I last documented my dreams. And when I opened the journal, it just happened to flip open to a page from almost a year ago. It was last August. And I was shocked by what I had seen. I mean, I wrote it, I dreamed it, I remembered it, but I had forgotten all about it. Because I have past life dreams all the time. All the time. And so I'll see something, I'll think I understand what I'm seeing, I jot it down, and it just kind of, unless it was really significant and stood out and lingering in my mind, I just kind of write it down and forget about it. And so I hadn't thought about this dream since I wrote it down a year ago. But as you can see from the pictures and this little video I took, I had a dream about Napoleon a year ago. And because it was about Napoleon, I was assuming, I didn't know, but I was making an assumption that I must have been Josephine because I was dealing with emotions and I was dealing with Napoleon. So I'm like, was I Josephine? And so let me tell you about this dream, because my guides were telling me a whole year ago that this was coming. Okay, so the dream went like this. We were in an old stone building, like a castle. Like if you think of a castle and how it's made of stone, it was like that. And we were in kind of a breezeway. It felt like we were in a basement. We were supposed to be in a basement, but it looked kind of like a passageway leading to a basement. It was this long, narrow breezeway, stoned walls, stone floors, and on the outside wall, the stone had big arches cut into it with iron bars in the arches so that nothing could get in or out, but the fresh air came in and out. I'll try to post a picture of something similar if I can find it. And I knew that I was in present day here, and Spomi was with me, my guide. And he was talking to me, but simultaneously, at the same time I was in current day, I could also see back in time and see what had been there at the same time. And so I was there in present day, and I could see that on the floor there used to be a drain, and it was cemented over so that nothing could get in or out of this drain in the floor. But I could see that back in time, I saw it was a dark, stormy night. It was pouring down rain, and water was gushing up out of that drain in the floor. And I could see Napoleon laying on the ground in the drain water, just laying in the water, kind of, just sad and bereft and wallowing, just laying in this water like, woe is me. And I knew that no water could get through that drain anymore, and that it could never flood again because I had cemented over it. And Spomi asked me, are you willing to go there? And I knew that he meant there where Napoleon was. Am I willing to go lay in the water where he is? And I hesitated and just looked at him for a few minutes. And then in my journal, I had written that he said very lovingly, you'll be okay. It's time. And then I woke up. What's significant about that is that if you know anything about dreams, you know that a basement signifies your subconscious. Water signifies emotions, and like flooding, heavy, like pooling water, backing up water, it's like heavy emotions, like you're being flooded with emotions. Water is emotions. And the fact that it was dirty water, like it was coming from the drain and flooding, dirty emotions mean that they're messy emotions. It's not clear, easy stuff. It's messy emotions. And then the fact that the drain had been cemented over meant that I was like, I have had enough. I have no desire to deal with these heavy emotions, and no, I'm not willing to mess with that. Like, I'm going to cement over this so that you can't even have access to me. You hurt me so bad that I don't you don't get access to me. I'm cementing over that drain. And then Spomi being asked if I'm willing to go there and telling me that I'll be safe and that it's time. He was telling me a whole year ago that this experience was coming and that I would be okay and that I would be safe. I think that's fascinating. This is why it's important to write your dreams down. Sometimes you go back and you see things that you never knew. Or that you look back and go, oh my God, that actually happened. Or I learned about that back then and I didn't know what it meant. So anyways, that was my experience. That was my Josephine experience. And I hope that it was as fascinating to you as it was to me. I know that it probably couldn't hit you and wallop you with such emotion as it did to me, but it was life-changing for me. So if you ever feel drawn to going to get a past life regression or to experience this, I say do it. You'll be good and it'll probably benefit you. And if you want to check out George's website, the guy that I used, he was awesome to work with, and I will link to him below. I'm sure he would be happy to talk to you. If you have any thoughts or questions, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button. If you're still watching right now, I love you. Because this was long, but I appreciate you and I love you. All right, you guys. Until next time.